Okay, started recording. No, I want to start streaming. I started the stream. Let's go. I'm a banana. Need another bucket. There's a few. So I've got 4, so 6. 6 times 3 is 18. I want the bucket. Oh, looks like I should kill some spiders. Since ayo the one weer okay
who's sure to leave.
hey yo. So, you were testing me.
Yeah, I was grounded for like a weeks.
Yo, wait, what?
Yeah, here's the thing, my grades suck currently.
Oh, man. I wasn't talking about your thing, I was, like, confused for a second.
Yeah, so I didn't want to test my friend. It's actually true.
Nice.
Those who pass have earned my respect.
Nice. Oh, jeez, I hear an Enderman. I need to make more torches. Oopa, oopa. Stupid piglin! Piglins are a pain in the butt.
I'm also afraid of a world where I can take those piglins.
Nice.
You should join that sites. Watch me fight and murder the piglins to death.
Piglin shall die. I'm actually playing, like, it's called, Forge, the mod, and I don't exactly know how to use it, to be totally honest. I don't know what I should be looking for. Wait, hold on. Ooh. Shift. Mining them. Ooh. Not this. Comparison them all, but we'll do. I do have a diamond pickaxe on this, so I guess I could use that at some point.
And also in the time that I had not been spoken to, I enjoyed karate.
Nice.
Now kick ass.
Nice. I have to get a summer job this summer. Yay.
I plan on doing it when I get a car.
Unfortunately, I am old enough to get a car. I'm almost old enough.
They're like driver's license.
Stupid piglin. Yo, did you hear about what Java, Minecraft is doing for 1.17?
No.
Oh, why does no one but me keep up with that?
Game update?
Caves and Cliffs. They're releasing it in 2 parts. One's without the biome. The first one it doesn't have any of the new biomes in it, or the warden.
What?
Yeah, the warden relies on his biome, so.
Turtle?
Yeah, his biome. They'll every block that's pretty much out will come out, but yeah. I believe I have the video. I can give me a second if you will. Ooh, I heard a piglin loading up their boat, so I had to pause.
I'm really getting ready to buy a bunch of mods.
What?
I'm getting ready to buy a bunch of mods again.
Dude, you should get Java or a computer.
Yeah, that requires money, and I'm currently low on that.
If you give me a second, I can get to it. Copy link. Go to text. Here, just watch that video and it will explain to you what they're doing. Ugh. Yo, you still there?
Yo.
Did you watch the video?
Currently watching it right I'm not sure if you can hear, but I have like some severe allergies
No, I cannot actually. Okay, now I can hear. You didn't need to do that.
Sorry, blow your nose.
Hmm. Oh, jeez. Yeah, don't you love it when it gets hot out and you can't breathe?
Well, when it's hot out, sure, but when you can't breathe, that makes it worse.
I know.
Is that just like...
Oh, that's funny. Don't do that, man. You're gonna end up killing me.
I can just imagine you walking by, walking up to someone in there.
Ryder actually told me that you were mad at me for some reason.
Ryder is younger than us, he does not understand.
Yeah, they won't. Neither you won't tell me what exactly happened. I honestly don't know how you guys broke up, so
You mean,
I don't exactly want to know as well. So are you smelling me?
can you do me a favor?
What?
Next time you see her, slap her in the face.
I'd rather not die. Demon! Demon! Ay, 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 man. I can't find diamonds. I can't tell if you're trying to be stupid or creepy.
I've learned how to be alpha.
Nice.
I get their dating confidence. That is one of the many things. Dropping a dating confidence.
Why is that funny? That shouldn't be funny. That's funny. Alright, if you give me a second, I can...
Can you hear the slaughter?
No, I cannot.
Did you hear the slaughter? I am now doing England.
Oh yeah, my sister got baby chicks.
Yeah, they're right here.
Chickens.
Hello? Who is that?
Joseph.
Hi, Joseph.
You still got a crush on him?
The fudge?
No, I never had a crush on you. Okay, maybe when I was littler, but not. OMG.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, why is that so funny?
Oh my gosh, I just saw the love of my life.
Excuse me now.
What?
Yes, I did. He is in my class.
Oh.
Don't tell mom, don't tell mom.
Okay, hold on, Joseph.
I just murdered a child.
Mother! Kylie has a crush! Okay, I'm back. I just yelled.
I just murdered a baby zombie by pickling. And
Alright, I'm gonna invite you to a world I've been playing. Me and Kat started it, but I'm bored.
it's going fine.
Fine.
Watch me do what as I murder the chickens and cold love. You would think so
Just,
cold.
Okay, what was your username again?
Soul
Skullboy.
boy.
Skull.
Hey, schoolboy! That has a crush on Cat.
Actually, that died.
I have murdered that human wanted. They were slaughtered like animals.
Did you hear that?
But also, this
What?
is originally my first survival world, but then I messed it up because, I mean, I beat the Ender Dragon, I did most of the achievements, so, yeah. Are you at the village?
Yeah.
Here, there you go. Now come over as I watch it again to make an influence. Are you over?
Huh?
Are you over at it's the Obsidian place.
No, give me a second. Obsidian. Oh,
Yes,
I see it. If I knew there was demon horns, I would have gotten that. Look into my eyes.
watch and murder these bastards.
I have no sword. I'm actually not looking at the moment. Where do you get the demon horns at?
I would never tell you.
Well, it's about a matter of time before I find it. designed some of my own skins on the...
I just murdered a baby. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, don't care. I'm heartless.
As you can see, I have learned to take.
I'm actually just customizing my character at the moment, so trying to find this stupid horn. Because I want.
Can you do me a favor? Can you fix the hole in the roof?
Yeah, give me a second.
I now fight the Zamba.
I really. Wait, if you're wearing that, that can't be. Outerwear. Must be on outerwear. Cause. Did you get the horns with the face? Or the face? It's not a face item. Must be headwear. Wait, let me see your face. Let me see.
Yo.
Okay, move get in the corner. Okay, get out of the corner real quick. Alright, get back in the corner. Analyzing. Analyzing. Must take in data collected. Do it. Nope. I hear a lot of stuff surrounding me, and I don't want to know what it is. I have not found analyzation. I is very confused.
into the fire. No, don't burn it.
Is this analyzation correct? I don't believe so.
Actually,
Analyzation incorrect.
Guess if we close it up.
Is analyzation correct? Analyzation not correct.
You know, I can tell you this just because I bought it.
I want to know where you get the head thing from.
Bought it. I think.
Yeah, I know you bought it, but I just don't know where it's at. Is it like a head? Is it headwear? Is it in style?
Facial item.
Facial. Okay. Facial. It is not in facial. At least I don't think.
Look at the cute little polar bear.
That's an elephant. That is incorrect.
I just murdered a child without remorse.
Good for you.
Just not
Analyzation is still incorrect. They're like mini versions of spiders except for weaker. Oh, I got this. Nah, okay.
Interactive will get worse back here. I ate their insides. They all died.
How do you like your cage?
I'm immune to fire. Watch. Do you see?
Yes, I see.
I am superior.
Analyze. Analyzation. Analyzation complete. My analyzation says that. Are you in creative mode?
No.
Good. Cause those potion effects won't last much longer. You have no longer access to creative mode.
Really?
Wait, I thought. No. No, no, no.
You got disabled the creator zone. Ah. It's out emergency.
Are you no? You are no longer operator.
Let us see. Well. And the turntable.
I hate you so much. Can I actually have my power back?
As long as you use it wisely.
Okay, I just wanted to actually test if that would work.
Now, if you'll excuse me, I must continue. Watch the glorious battle. Just glorious. Look at y'all. No, the
Why can't I fly?
They'll have a glitch for me as well.
That's alright. I know another way of transportation. Through the air.
Now give me Mog you hate and I will murder it.
Actually. Well done. Gift sack. Craft table. I need crafting table. Wait. I know. Just the thing.
What?
I must create.
What will you create?
I must create the most powerful weapon of all time. I need crafting table. Can't find. Ah, there it is. That's embarrassing. Ah! Let's ignore that. Can you not do that? Ah, that sucks. That really sucks.
What?
Oh, you can't do something really OP that you can in Java. Oh, that sucks. Yo, can I have a bucket of lava? Wait, what am I talking about? rockets? Wait. Another experiment. Must experiment with all that I can. Ugh, that really sucks. I climb lava.
I am creating the whole. I will be fighting with 5 withers. That will be epic achievement.
Dude, look around. There's a fireworks show.
Save the fireworks for later, because it's going to be a massive battle between me and 5 disobedient servants. Like to cut this with the thunder. Like the name is catchy.
Enderdome?
Thunderdome.
Thunderdome. That's already an existing name, dude.
No, that's what I'm saying. Making you the booth. The place that you will watch the annihilation
Yo, I'm flying up.
of all of your most hatred mobs. Like the creeper or the whatever it's cat.
Yo, look at my look at go if you go to my stream you can see my coordinates. I'm getting up there. I should make it to the sky.
The body moves over the skies. Iron fist. Yes, and a red nose.
Remember that world that you sent us flying in? All the way up, and and it's lagging out so bad right now. Oh. Oh man. I bet if I got an elytra, I could like go up and see where the experience was, or you could give it to me again and then. Dude, I am plummeting. Oh. The way the numbers are decreasing is kinda scary.
If you're in survival, then yeah. Wait, I got those, but it goes to survival and then grab a totem and die. What? Guys,
I'm going straight up. What?
The show is happening now.
Oh, okay. I'm coming back down then. Don't bring them up yet. Hold on. Build another room on top, so...
I've already made one right there. I did.
Eh.
Here.
Yeah, but you need to... I need to put glass in.
Yeah, well then it's gonna shoot the glass. I made that so that way you can watch.
No. Hold on. Yeah, but if they can't get... If they... Yes, they might break the glass, but what if they couldn't get out of the glass box?
You know, I'm making it the Thunderdome for the fight. Just fight over me.
I know. I just want to be able to see it. No, you could help, right? Yo, you better not be starting. Wait, can they break through barrier blocks?
I don't know.
Dude. Yo, I'm gonna test it. Dude, let's find out. Wait, hold on. Did you make a... Oh, yeah, you did. Let's find out. Yeah. Just in case they do, I'm just gonna... Now we're good. Hi! Alright, I'm gonna end this stream. End stream. End recording.